Good morning. I'm Rowena Crosby.
And I'm Deborah Renner, and we're your co-hosts for this show. Thank you for joining us for the next 17 minutes for your IT show. No, we're not talking information technology. We're talking Your Invisible Toolbox, the show that examines the tools that are necessary for working effectively with others.
And today we get to talk about one of the most primitive tools in communication, and that's eye contact.
And it may be primitive, but in communication, eye contact is very sophisticated. Using it well can synchronize you to whoever you're talking to. It can help you give and get feedback. And actually, the eyes can either help us build relationships or pick a fight. If you're following along in Your Invisible Toolbox today, we're on Chapter 32 called Look Me in the Eyes.
And how many of you have ever used that phrase and said to someone, look me in the eyes and say that? And that phrase alone really communicates that all of us know the importance of eye contact. We take in a lot of meaning through the eyes and also emotions, and we can communicate a variety of things with eye contact. Indifference, hostility, empathy, dominance, all of those things can be communicated simply by how we look at someone. There's also important differences in eye contact as they relate to gender, and so in our segment called Two Truths and a Lie, we're going to examine some of those.
And that's going to be interesting.
Yes.
Well, the eyes are also an important factor in listening, and good listeners know that it is the eyes that communicate receptivity and trust. And in our interview segment today, we are pleased to have senior training consultant Carlos Alvarez. Carlos has worked with individuals, business individuals, over 2 decades in helping them improve their eye contact in business presentations and communications.
And we have 2 featured social media posts today that you're not going to want to miss. So let's get started.
Well, have you heard these expressions? Keep your eyes open. There's more than meets the eye. A sight for sore eyes, an apple of my eye. It's no doubt that with regards to eye contact, it's a lot more than vision. Eye contact is a signal in all of our communications.
And it's no accident that couches in psychiatrists' offices are actually designed to reduce the amount of eye contact because the information that's shared there can sometimes be embarrassing or it can be a little shameful, and it makes sharing intimate information a little less inhibited.
Researchers have found that doctors will give more eye contact when they're actually talking about emotional issues than the physical issues of the patient. We also know that people that we feel that are cooperating with us will give them more eye contact than our competitors, and people that are really great at persuasion know how to use their eye contact well.
And if you think about people who need to persuade, think hitchhikers or those people that go out and collect money for their favorite charities by those tin shakers and how effective eye contact is in helping them achieve their goals.
And people will look at people they like more than people that they don't like, and powerful people actually get more eye contact.
So what does all of this tell us about how we should be using eye contact in our workplaces?
Well, let's take a look at our invisible tool of the week.
And our invisible tool of the week is to increase your eye contact.
Well, eye contact is so important because we're all social creatures.
That's true, and relationship experts have really touted the power of eye contact in forming more intimate relationships.
Evan Mark Katz, who is a relationship theorist and a dating coach, relates a story where he was in a session with an instructor who had them look at someone for 5 full minutes intently.
That's a really long time.
It is a really long time. And he said he was looking intently at his partner, who was a woman about 25 years older than he, and when they got to the end of the 5 minutes, her from any other circumstances, and he examined that.
That story is related in the book,
is.
Along with round 2, where that same theorist had to make eye contact with a same gender person.
And when it's the same gender, it was 2 males, it actually became combative. It was pretty interesting research.
So it'll be fun to look at that in our
Yes.
discussion on gender. So intensive eye contact really can foster a connection. Now, in the workplace, what we're trying to communicate is credibility and trust, not intimacy. That might get you an invitation to the HR department. So when talking to a group, how much eye contact is appropriate? Well, at Tero, we like to say only look at audience members for the part of your communication that you want them to believe. And how much is that? That's 100%.
In a one-on-one, though, 100% is a little too much. Actually,
Yes.
it can be seen as aggressive, or someone can feel like they're being stalked. So they say, research says, look at someone in a one-on-one 40 to 60% of the time. However, there are some times where you do want to have 100% in a one-on-one, and one of those times is when you're saying hello to someone or when you're saying goodbye to someone. You want to bookmark those interactions by maintaining 100% eye contact.
Yeah, so there are 3 times that we want direct eye contact in a one-on-one: the opening, the close, and the third time is when we're delivering bad news.
Oh, even that is so
That's
hard. But we do want to increase our eye contact, because when we do, that is how we connect and that is how we relate.
And now we're going to shift to the portion of the program we call Two Truths and a Lie, and we're going to look at the role gender plays.
And this is the segment that we call Two Truths and a Lie. And we're going to give 3 statements about eye contact and gender, and your challenge is to figure out which one is the lie. And we're going to do 2 rounds today.
We're going to do 2 rounds. So here we go with round 1. Statement number 1. Women value eye contact as a tool in reaching agreement. Statement number 2. Men perceive eye contact as a barrier when reaching agreement. And statement number 3, little boys seek and maintain eye contact while little girls prefer to look at inanimate objects. So which one of those 3 statements do you think is the lie? If you guess statement number 3, you're correct. It turns out that little boys prefer to look at inanimate objects while little girls seek that human connection through eye contact. It turns out that women do use eye contact as a tool for garnering agreement, whereas men sometimes see it as a barrier.
I think they did that study with infants,
Yes.
looking at boys would look at their mobile above their crib more than the human face around them, and little girls vice versa. They
Isn't that
look at the human
fascinating?
face. Yes. Let's try another one. Here are the statements. Statement number 1. Men break eye contact more frequently than women do. Statement number 2. Women read social cues and emotions more readily than men. And statement number 3. Women and men have very different approaches and use of eye contact. Which one do you think is the lie? Well, it's actually number 1. Women break eye contact more often. They also initiate it more often. And men and women actually do use eye contact and have approaches to eye contact that are very different. And so it's great to look at these research generalizations and think about how we use our eye contact in the workplace, and hopefully we can use it in a more gender-neutral way.
Wouldn't that be a terrific workplace, gender-neutral one? Well, now it's time to look at our top Tero social media posts of the week. And those of you that follow Tero on social media already know that several times every day we post useful links to a variety of interpersonal resources. Today we're going to feature 2 of them.
Well, can a box of Trix cereal inform us about our preferences with regards to eye contact?
I love this one.
Our first article will post on all Tero social media platforms today, and it's a Forbes article, and it's titled Fascinating Facts About Eye Contact. And these Cornell researchers actually manipulated the face of the rabbit on the Trix cereal box to see what people preferred in terms of how the rabbit was either looking at them or not looking at them, and they definitely preferred when that rabbit was looking directly at them. Isn't that fascinating?
That's fascinating, and it affects their buying behavior, which is something interesting about all of us.
And there's so many fascinating research facts about eye contact in that article, so check it out.
And our second featured post is a Harvard Business Review article, and it's titled, When Giving Critical Feedback, Focus on Your Nonverbal Cues. And it talks about the importance of a lot of nonverbal cues and really reinforces the concept that eye contact's critical when we're delivering bad news. You will find links to that article on all Tero social media platforms on Thursday.
We're really excited to announce that we are on Instagram, and you can find us at Your Invisible Toolbox, and there you'll see some behind-the-scene photos of the show. You'll see some wonderful quotes. You'll get some ideas on events that we're having, and also a sneak peek to something we're really excited about, an upcoming book trailer.
Yes, if you've never heard of a book trailer, we're excited. This is something in progress at Tero. It's like a movie trailer, but it's a trailer for the book, so watch for that. Well, now we're going to move to the segment of the program we call Ask the Expert, and we are absolutely delighted to have our expert today. Carlos Alvarez is going to join us at the table. And Carlos is a senior training consultant with Tero. He's been with us since the year 2000, so he's dedicated a great amount of his career to helping people develop their nonverbal communication, particularly eye contact. So thank you, Carlos, for joining us this morning.
Morning.
Delighted to have you
Great
here.
to see you. Thank you
Good
so
morning.
much. Would you mind answering some questions for our viewers?
Be happy to.
Well, you've trained a lot of people. You've seen a lot of people come into training. What do most people do if they haven't had training with their eyes when they're trying to give a presentation?
Deb, I appreciate that question. I see several techniques that participants use when they come to training. One of them is scanning the audience. One of them is looking over the head of the audience to the back wall. And the third that I see often is where they look at the forehead or the tip of
The third eye.
The third eye of the audience members. That's what I see most often.
And they've probably been thinking it's too scary to actually look at people.
That's what they share with us,
Yeah.
that it's too scary to make direct eye contact with another person in the audience.
What accounts for the fact you see presenters many times just stop talking or talk to the ceiling or talk
Sure.
to the floor?
Deb, what we see most often, that results from individuals who use the technique of scanning the audience, looking left, looking right. Too much information is being processed by our brain, so they look at one of two places, the ceiling or the floor, where there's not a lot of activity, and it allows the presenter to have their thought come back. And we share in the training, if we didn't care about you, we'd say, present that way. But we do care about people. That's not an effective way to present.
So what do we do with our eyes then?
Yeah.
Can you share that with our viewers?
Sure can. The most amazing thing happens to participants when they use one of the tools that we share. Of the 12, focus on eyes, which simply means that as they share their information, they look out and make direct eye contact with members of the audience looking directly at their eyes. It's amazing the results that happen when you use that one tool of looking at sets of eyes as you share your information.
And is there a certain time limit? You don't want to have 5 minutes.
5 minutes is a little too
Thank you,
intimate.
Deb. 5 minutes is way too long. You don't want to be kissing your audience members. But what we share with participants is they look out at sets of eyes, finish a complete thought, a complete sentence, even a word. The time could be anywhere from 3 to maybe 10 seconds, and then we encourage you to pause, which is very challenging for some presenters. Stop talking, and then look, shift to another set of eyes, and again, continue that process.
And that would make people, the entire audience, engaged and feel like they're important individually as well.
Deb, that's what we hear most often from participants, that as the presenters are utilizing this technique, two things happen. One, the audience is engaged, and two, which is the most important, the audience members are perceiving the presenter as credible and trustworthy, which is amazing.
That's huge.
By using one simple tool, looking at people as you talk in the eyes.
That's remarkable. There's so many things out there that you read, pretend that your audience doesn't have clothes on and things like that, which really
There's a
aren't
book
helpful.
called I Can See You Naked,
Yes,
I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
those aren't helpful for presenters, but to be able to think they're making people feel important.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And what I find even most interesting is that some presenters, some of the business people that come to our training, present to a small audience, 3, 4. Others present to large audiences. But by utilizing this particular tool, Focus on Eyes, it does not matter with the size of the audience. It makes a difference, and you are perceived as credible and trustworthy. Just this one simple tool, looking and talking to sets of eyes.
You speak on a lot of large stages, and I remember you telling me a story about the interactions you had after a certain presentation. Would you share that
Yes.
with your viewers?
Thank you, Deb. I did have an audience of about 600 people. I shared a story that happened to me, and as I looked around, I could only see direct eye contact within the first several rows. I looked at different areas of the audience. I finished my talk, and afterwards I had a participant approach me and say, Carlos, you were looking right at me. You were looking at me. I didn't even know the person was there. But this technique, when you look out at a section of the audience, you can't see eyes, but as you look in that area, the perception is anyone in that area is that you're making direct eye contact with them. This simple tool, Focus on Eyes, can make a difference.
Well, Carlos, one of the other differences that we see with this are the elimination of filler words. Can you talk a little bit towards that?
I sure can. One of the things that we hear often with presenters who are utilizing the scanning technique is they don't know what they're going to say next, or are not sure what they're going to say next, and so they use filler words. You might think this is true. Are the words we hear often, but what's really amazing with this tool of Focus on Eyes, filler words are eliminated. And just as important, it slows people down to a conversational pace versus the off to the races at 100 miles an hour.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing these tools from class. We really appreciate it. And I know it's been rewarding. You've been at it for over 2 decades. So.
Very rewarding to see tools that can be utilized right away, making a difference for participants.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for being with us here, Carlos. And thanks to all of you for joining us. If you missed any segment of this program or if you'd like to share it with others, you'll find the entire program loaded up to Tero's YouTube channel. We're going to take a week off because in the United States we're celebrating the 4th of July holiday next week. Please join us the following Monday morning, July 10th at 9:03 Central Time, where we're going to do something a little different. We're going to talk about engaging an audience, and we've got the Tero trainers coming in, and we're going to see if we can get a little bit more audience involvement in our program that day.
Well, now it's your turn. We welcome your feedback and suggestions for future shows. What questions do you have? What people challenges do you face at work, either with customer interactions, leadership situations, team interactions? You can email those ideas to ideas@yourinvisibletooolbox.com. And also, find us on your favorite social media platform and get out to Instagram and check us out there as well. And you can subscribe to the YouTube channel by subscribing to the link below, and you'll be alerted to when future shows will air. We'd like to thank Kyle Plummer, who is our cameraman and director, and he's freshly back from New York City today, so we're thrilled to have him back.
We're so glad he did return from New
Yes.
York. Thank you, Carlos, for being here.
Thank
And
you,
thanks
Rob.
to
Thank you,
all of
Deb.
you for joining us today. And that's a wrap.